Hi, welcome back to Conversations on a Bench. I'm Kim Cook. I'm the CEO here at Bread of Life Mission, and I am sitting here on the corner of South Main and First Avenue, and I will be here until noon tomorrow. And I'm just having conversations with people in the community about the homeless issues that we see here in Seattle and across our nation. And I am here right now with Bruce Drager. Did I say it right?
That's absolutely right.
Bruce and I just met. I love doing the bench because I get to meet some really cool people. And Bruce is
We'll
from
see
the
if I'm
Ballard.
cool or not. I
Oh,
don't
sure
know.
you are. Sure you are. Bruce is with the Ballard Community Task Force on Homelessness and Hunger. That's a mouthful. And
That's one of the hats I have. The other
Yeah.
hat is I started an organization called Green Lake Homeless Advocates,
Right.
where we work one-on-one with people and we walk with them from the streets into housing.
Oh, that's awesome. So, what is the Community Task Force?
The Community Task Force was formed this year. It's sort of a reiteration of a previous organization that started many years ago and then discontinued during COVID. And through my work with Green Lake Homeless Advocates, I began to work more and more, almost exclusively, with folks that lived in Ballard. Once they cleared out Woodland Park, which is sort of where I got my first jumped into fixing homelessness, I was working with encampments there and around Green Lake, and then I moved over to Ballard, which brings me back to my roots because I was a teacher at Ballard High School for 20 years, and so I'm
should
back
have
in
known you were a
Ballard,
teacher.
and then I just realized that this was sort of ground zero for where homelessness was most acutely problematic in our city right now. And in terms, that's what the data tells us recently, is that the two places where they report the most newly formed encampments are in Capitol Hill and Ballard.
Really? I did not know that. Why do you think that is?
Uh, I've, I'm tempted to say because I'm there in a way, oddly enough. And that's what we do. I have an organization that as I said, I carried over my Green Lake Homeless Advocates folks, and I started this task force with the purpose of providing a voice for people that are living on the streets and giving them tried to provide a way to provide a truthful story for what's happening with homelessness. And oddly enough, I think it turns out that because of the community we've created there and the kinds of things we're doing there, I think that we have. There was a sizable population of when I first started working with people in Ballard. There were probably 350 when I first started that were living on the streets, and now we're close to 600 people.
Wow.
And I know everybody by name and meet with them most, a couple times a week, just about all of them at one time. And like I said, I wanted to provide a voice for that, and I wanted to provide a way for us to, as a community there in Ballard, connect with those kinds of resources that are available to help try to potentiate the possibility of maximizing outcomes for those folks.
Yeah. So I have a question about that, but I'm just really curious. What did you teach?
I taught biology.
Okay. I thought it was a science. I don't know.
Do I
You
look
just,
like a science teacher? I
no,
look like Doc, one of those.
no, just just picking up some vibes there.
Sure.
So, if you, what is their voice? What do they want? What do they want the community to hear?
Well, what they want to, and as I said, is in fact part of what we've been doing recently. We have several committees, and one of the committees is involved. It's called Changing the Narrative, helping us understand what is really going on with these people. And contrary to the misconception that exists out there, most of these people, by and large, nearly all of them, want to get off the streets. They don't.
They
want
do,
to be
don't
there.
they?
And they want to have housing, and they're accepting of increasingly more, especially as we begin to create the kinds of pathways for folks to stay connected in the right way. And as long as they don't, if they aren't swept as much as they are recently, I mean, that's the thing that Harold has adopted, this sort of with impunity model,
Mm.
and now we're just losing track of all these folks, so we can't keep them on track. But once we can keep them on track, I think we've made lots of progress with people, moving them towards finding a way that they can find housing.
What would you say are the big reasons? And I think I know the answer to this, but I'm going to ask it. What are the reasons that people are homeless? There must be just one or two, right?
Well, it just turns out that last night I went and listened to Greg Colburn. I don't know if you know who he
No.
is. He's a professor at the University of Washington that's done some great work with looking at, and he really gave us, just spelled it out perfectly. I'm familiar with his work, and it was great to see him in person and sort of spell it out for us. And it turns out that if you look at the kinds of statistics, look at the variables, many of the variables that we normally consider to be associated with causes, quote unquote, of housing, of homelessness, or at least are, as I say, sort of potentiate that homelessness state, is that, and the only one that he's found that there's a correlation with is lack of available housing.
Really?
Yeah, that's
That's
you look at,
the
that's
only thing.
comparing things like drug use, and you look at, if you look at mental health issues. That's not to say, and I like the way he sort of gave us sort of the model for the way we look at it. He sees this as sort of a root cause of it, and his root cause, as he's identified, is if you compare, for example, Chicago, which has very little homelessness. They have about a fifth of the amount of homelessness that we do, but they have the population size that's much larger than us, and they certainly have as many people addicted to drugs as we do, and they have mental health issues, but they have less than, like I said, they have about 20% of the homelessness that we do. And as I said, if you compare all these different cities, Chicago, Philadelphia, and all that sort of stuff, you find here on the West Coast we really have problems, because we, like San Francisco and Seattle and Los Angeles, have unbelievably high rent rates, in case you didn't know.
I learned that the hard way.
And also the vacancy rates are very low for our housing, which are two indicators of the scarcity of housing that's available, that's accessible to people.
So, is that what you're seeing? I mean, are you seeing that in the population you're working with?
Well, what I'm seeing is, and I think as everyone would know, well, do I see a lot of people that are on drugs? Do I see a lot of mental health issues and all that sort of stuff? Yes, and indeed that's sort of the second component of that. You've got this root cause, and then you have what they what he called it, either the proximate or the potentiator of. In fact, when I was a biologist by trade originally. In fact, we learned the stages of cancer. You have your basic genetic basis for the root cause of cancer, but then you have these potentiators that happen along the way. Like if I go out in the sunlight, chances are I'm increasing my chances of getting skin cancer, and it's sort of the same thing with homelessness. You have this root cause, which is the availability of housing, and then you have this vulnerability problem that is associated with the other sorts of issues like mental health problems and drug use and family abuse and all that sort of stuff. And it turns out that those are certainly part of the equation, but like I say, sort of this fundamental root cause is the homelessness, or the lack of housing. And but certainly, what do I see on the streets? I see a lot of people are addicted to drugs. I see when I sit down at breakfast every morning with people there in Ballard at our place there at St. Paul's Church, I see lots of folks that are just wacko. They have real severe mental health issues, and wouldn't you, if you lived on the streets?
Well, I've always said that, like, sometimes addiction causes homelessness, and sometimes it it comes out of it, because wouldn't you?
Well, that's part of it. Yeah, as you say, it's just, and that's another issue, is that, to what extent are those things, do they arise because of homelessness? Are they a cause or the effect of homelessness?
Well, and there's trauma that's happening, and where does that take somebody? There's so many pieces to it.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
I think I think it's kind of a chicken and the egg thing that,
Mm-hmm.
if we can say that homelessness is the root, but
Mm-hmm.
I don't completely agree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't agree with that. But I think it's a big part of it. And I've been to a lot of missions around the country. They're
Mm-hmm.
all struggling with the same issues. Uh, but they don't all have the same housing costs that we do, and
Mm-hmm.
so I think it's a big part of it here for sure.
Well, I
But
think what the thing is, and uh, Luke Frank hooked
yeah,
me up with you, and
yep,
and Luke Frank, and the thing is, so now I'm gonna, especially if Luke, if you're watching tonight, I wanna just take it a step back for a second, understand that in order that fundamentally that what leads to sort of this increased vulnerability of folks
hmm
is a broken relationship,
exactly
and
that.
that's what you're talking about, and
Yes,
I agree with that, and we are the prime movers and the real proponents of in my both of my
yeah,
organizations. That's what I guide people in ways of figuring out how can we create relationship.
right.
And that's, as I said, my model for Green Lake Homeless Advocates was creating that one-on-one relationship. Here I am. I'm here for you. I will be that lighthouse. I will be
hmm
that beacon for you that
right.
allows you, that I can help you stay on track. And
hmm
that's all it is. And it makes all the difference in the
oh,
world
it does.
for folks living on the streets to know
hmm
that there's somebody out there that they can count on.
I've had
Because,
so many conversations about that tonight. And
uh,
Christine Moreland, with we,
right.
she says that we're their constant,
Hmm.
whatever it is you want to call it.
Absolutely.
But
Absolutely.
I look at the guys that are in our mission, and some of them had that lack of relationship, that broken
Hmm.
relationships from childhood,
Yeah.
right? Like they were in abusive homes or homes with addicted parents or whatever it might be, and they lost relationships there. There are others that lost it later on when they got addicted or when they were struggling with mental illness as a young adult or whatever. But I really think that when somebody loses housing, truly loses housing, is
Hmm.
because they don't have relationships. There's nobody to fall back on and go, hey, can I sleep in your spare room?
Yeah.
Right?
Well,
For
there's that
whatever
turning
reason.
point when you go down that pathway of disenfranchisement,
Mm-hmm.
and that's clearly, in many, yeah, I mean, God, as you know, the stories that you hear of all these folks of what they've been through from childhood,
I
from the
know.
very beginning, you just wonder, how did they get this far?
I
How did
know.
they survive this long, much less just, you're almost thinking, well, okay, the least of it is that they're homeless, but I mean, how did you even survive what you did? How'd you
Mm-hmm.
get to be, beyond teenage
If only
years?
we could look at people and see their resilience
No.
instead of like judging them for being where they are,
Mm.
it would change everything.
Well, that's why I say it's about it's about making that connection, and that's, like I say, I'm not going to sit here and decide. I'm not Katie Wilson. I'm not I'm not Greg Harrell. I'm not going to decide how the changes, nor am I going to really be that concerned with what it is, what the
That
dynamics
causes
of
it.
housing
Hmm.
availability is going to be. But
Right.
I am going to help folks do what we can do now,
Right.
which is connect with somebody
Yeah.
and understand where they're at, what their story is, and how we can
Hmm.
be, as I said, that touch point, that
Right.
cornerstone that allows them to make progress towards, help them
Exactly.
identify where do you want to go, and can I help you do that?
Yeah.
You know?
And I think, we can talk all the time about, like I said, the chicken and the egg,
Mhm.
what came first, what's the,
Yeah, I don't want to talk
but,
about chicken and
but,
eggs.
right.
In fact, when I came here tonight, the one thing I was thinking about is interesting me that I came here because I was thinking about. I was going to tell you that one of the things. Why are we still here with homelessness? Well, because we're still talking about that chicken and egg so much. We got to
Right.
stop
We've got
talking
to
and
stop
we got to
talking
stop
about it.
doing something. We've
And
got to get
yeah,
out there and do those things. And the
right.
one thing I know makes a difference, and I have no doubt in my mind, is that if you can make that kind of connection, make those people real, make them people, instead of
Yes.
something other than what we are, then you're in a position where you're going to vote the right way to get the right kinds of mayors in so that you get the kind of housing availability that we need to do. But all that will happen, as Gandhi once said, when we be the change that we expect in the world.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
and we have to be that change.
That's
We have to-
exactly it. I think we need to stop talking about the reason and meet the people face to face
Yeah.
and find the solution for them. And as we do that, one person at a time, like Mother Teresa,
Yep, absolutely.
take care of the person in front of you.
My two favorite people both came from India.
There you go.
So
And as we start helping people one person at a time, then that's the solution
yeah.
for sure.
For
Mhm.
sure. It's sure, like I say, it's not going to hurt anything. I'll tell you that much. I
Well-
know that it's going to make a difference. And for anyone out there that's asking themselves, what can I do?
Mhm.
That's what you can do.
So what would you say that somebody should do who's sitting watching and they go, I'm not going down to the streets of Seattle at night. I'm not going to do that. What should they do?
Well, there's so many organizations that you, as I said, I would look into. I could certainly refer folks to my organization, where we provide assistance and advisors that can help you get connected in ways that require less risk than jumping down and, like I used to do when I first started this business, 5 years ago, going down to encampments and saying, hi, but you can go to community meals.
Yeah.
That's a really great place. Is you can go to a community meal, have a meal, sit down, talk with someone. I urge you, if you're going to do that sort of thing, to again have some sort of a plan and a consistency and a commitment to doing that on a regular basis, rather than too many folks think that, well, it's just this one-shot deal. I'll go down there and I'll
Right.
serve soup.
Pat
one
yourself on the
time,
back.
That's right. I'll serve soup, or I'll show up one time. But the difference you can make is when you show up and you're willing to make, as I say, that genuine connection with someone, and you have that sort of consistency and continuity in the relationship that allows them to know you're not just going to be there now. You're going to be there as long as they need you to be there. And you really can be there. And it's not like it's this big responsibility kind of thing. You just
Right.
have, they know that you're going to do what you can for them. And they have
Right.
so few people out there that are willing to do. I have this saying about folks that live in encampments, and usually your best friend is your worst enemy. Because it turns out 9 times out of 10, that's
Yeah.
the person that's going to
Yeah.
steal from you somewhere along the way. Yeah, and they don't have anybody
Right.
that they can't
I-
that they can count on.
And I really think that for somebody who just is not educated, does not know what to do, the safest thing is to get involved with an organization.
Yeah.
Because there is a safety to that, whether it's yours or a community meal or ours. And I really think that walking alongside people is good, but I have heard so many people who become enablers
Oh yeah.
and or helping in ways that are hurting.
Yeah.
So I would just caution, get involved. Get involved.
Yeah.
But
Don't give
do
money.
it. Don't give money.
That's one of our
Like,
that's
even
one
a
of my
dollar.
commandments is that we don't, nobody gives money. You don't.
Yep.
You don't. I say we're not going to do anything for you. We are just going to be there for you.
Yes.
That's
Exactly
the whole process.
that.
We don't bring
Be a
anything there. We
presence.
bring us to the table.
Mm,
And thinking that those sorts of terms,
that's
you know.
that's really good.
you know,
What does somebody do with 50 cents or $1 when they're or when they're asking on the street? I just need 50 cents. What are they going to do with it?
I have no idea what they're going to do with it. The odd thing with me, and maybe it's just the folks the encampments that I've been working with, and I've probably worked with 2,500 or more people living in encampments and that have been swept all over the place over the last 5-6 years that I've been doing this. Is that I don't meet too many panhandlers in there.
Yeah.
And none of them have ever
Oh.
asked me for money.
I see people all the time, every day here in Pioneer Square.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
So maybe it's a beast
Maybe
that
it's a
exists
place.
here in downtown.
Yeah.
There are a couple guys that I knew used to hang out
Yeah.
right around in Ballard that did a little bit of
Yeah.
panhandling, but
But,
most of what they do is they do a lot of bartering of stuff. They
mm,
trade stuff, so they
yeah,
boost stuff,
that's yeah,
and they'll exchange that for whatever
something
drugs or
else.
whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I recommend to people is to carry gift cards.
Yeah.
You can give a gift card, uh, or just take somebody. I had a woman approach me recently, and I took her into the market around the corner
Mm-hmm.
and let her grab a few things,
Mm-hmm.
and paid twice as much as we would pay somewhere else for it, but it's okay, and helped her out. But
Mm-hmm.
you can do that, but I don't ever give cash. You're right.
Yeah.
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 Um, yeah, but I really recommend that people get involved. And it might, your issue might not be homelessness. It might be kids. So get involved with the kid down the street that has a mom who's working 2 jobs,
Yeah.
because that kid needs somebody. Whatever your thing is, get involved in a relationship with somebody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. What else do you want to talk about? We got about
How much time we got?
8 minutes.
8 minutes.
Oh, I have a Zoom, so yeah, maybe just a little less than that.
Gosh, I've said quite a bit. I think that yeah, as I said, I just urge people to find that way. I mean, this is really, I figure, and then one of the things I thought about as I was thinking about coming to do this interview was thinking it's interesting to me here because I sold my company after being a teacher here in Ballard. I went and started a company in Colorado for
Yeah.
5 years, and then I sold the company for this. I say God put on my heart the idea of coming
Mhm.
back and fixing homelessness, and here we are 6 years later, and I'm just trying to figure out why we haven't done that. And I
Yeah,
just
right?
realized it's quite simply our inability to just get to that place where we let's be the people that we think we should be.
That
That
is
really
so good.
what it comes down to. And that's in terms of connecting with people on the street or in a meal or whatever. That's that's a big part of that.
Mhm.
That we're sort of in this societal fix economically because we're kind of inherently selfish about the way we go about things,
Mhm.
and you know damn that. We shouldn't. We got to stop being so damn. We
Right.
got to be better people than we
Be
are.
yeah.
And I urge people to find that way. I've certainly found that way.
Yeah.
So for me, I was I was just I was just as selfish. I still am. I still
Well, I
find
still
myself.
am in my way.
Geez, gosh,
Yeah.
But this is a way to do what it is God. I mean, for the very first day I started doing this, I went home. I used to play guitar at the drop-in center at DESC on James and Third there, and I'd go home every day thinking, God, this is the best thing I ever did with my life.
Yeah.
I really did, and I just knew, why didn't I do this sooner?
There's something to getting in relationship with people and helping them,
Mm,
that does more for you than it does for them.
absolutely.
It feels so good.
So
Yeah.
I urge everyone to take that step.
Mhm. Um and you said be the people that we think we should be. Sometimes I think I wish people would be the people that they wish they'd had at some point in their life.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, it's a similar thing, but if you wish you'd had somebody to support you when you were a teenager, then be that person for another teenager. Um,
Yeah.
I had somebody else on the bench a little while ago, and she was saying, yeah, she's serving the teenage her. She's
Mm-hmm.
serving teenagers, and she sees it as her when she was that age, and she's just doing what she wished she'd had. And yeah, I totally agree with you about the selfishness, and we just and I lived that way for so long, and then something
Mm-hmm.
happened in my life, and God put a mirror up, and he
Mm-hmm.
started saying, what are you going to do about this situation?
Mm-hmm.
And I think that we all need to find our situation and see how we're going to make a difference in the world. So, and if
Yeah.
you can't do it, donate. So
Yeah.
donate
Yeah.
to Ballard.
We don't take money.
No,
We
you don't?
Oh, no. In fact, that's one of my.
Okay, send it to
priorities.
us.
We don't take money. We don't spend money. We that may change
Yeah.
as I spent a couple grand to put our website together.
Oh,
because
goodness.
I thought that I really
'Cause
did want to
nothing's
provide
free.
it. Yeah, it's
Mhm.
that's the reality of it. But I've tried to adhere as much as I can to the idea that
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to take money or spend money. I don't want money
Mhm.
to enter into this equation for
Yeah.
what I do.
Yeah.
And
You're very grassroots, and
so
Yeah.
as I said, it has
yeah.
to be grassroots
Well,
with me.
we have 18 staff.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So
I
yeah,
know.
we'll take donations.
Sure.
So
Yeah, so
if
donate to the Bread of Life mission then.
yeah, definitely. And there's a QR code in the corner. If you'd like to donate, it would help us so much. There's so much that we can do as we are able to add staff and have them walk alongside people and get in relationship, like I said. I would like to thank our sponsors who have helped us with this whole event. Craft Real Estate has sponsored, as has Six Robleys and Belmont Cabinets and Spirit Transport. So if you know those businesses, please support them. Pick up the phone and thank them for sponsoring this event. And we will be having some challenge hours here that where they've donated money and challenged you to give money as well. So we so appreciate them. And we're going to take a really quick break, and then I'm going to be back with a Zoom call with Lauren from Winchester Rescue Mission. She's a really good friend out on the East Coast, and we're just going to talk about how we do mission work and just how she's doing on her bench event. So we'll be right back in about 2 minutes. See you then.